Hey guys, this is Coop from Garage Gym Review. Today we are doing a 1-year update review on quite possibly one of the best value pieces of equipment that Rogue Fitness has ever come out with. This is the Westside Scout Hyper from Rogue Fitness. We did an original review on this about a year ago and I had high praise. But the reality is we typically review things after only having them for about 3 weeks or so. Sometimes it's longer, but we like to make sure that we're able to get a lot of use in, and then we can provide an updated review, something longer, as we update both the site, which you can check out that link and the link below the like button. You can also check out a link to the product and a card that just popped up. Wow, movie magic. But we like to provide a longer in-depth review or our opinion after using it for quite a while. And this is the perfect example because this has not only been updated, yes, you may not be aware of that, but the Rogue Westside Scout Hyper has been updated since it was released. It was a silent update. They now call it a 1.1, as we found on the invoice for this new model. We've also been able to use it a lot and get our opinion that may be a little bit different from the original review. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the Westside Scout Hyper is based like any other reverse hyper. It was originally designed by Louis Simmons after having some sort of back injury, lifting a little bit less than I do, I think 900 pounds or something on the deadlift. So he had a back injury, broke his back, and then was trying to rehab. He went to a chiropractor, and I don't know the full story, but there was something along the lines of him using one of those traction tables and then deciding, wow, if I could do this home, that'd be amazing. Going home, making some sort of like tabletop, putting a pendulum in the bottom, attaching weight to it, and then getting traction. And that was the original one in like the 80s, 70s, somewhere around there. And today we have this version. This is the most updated, newest, latest, greatest version. This isn't the best, just like bar none, price doesn't matter, reverse hyper that's available. But I would think that based upon the compactness, the size, the foldability, and the fact that it can get somewhat heavy, this is probably the best value reverse hyper that you can buy for your options. So the unique part of this, as you can see, let me show it off there. Ooh, do a spin for me, girl. Oh, you didn't think I could do that. This is what it's unique for. The fold-up version, the fact that it can just stand here small. If you've seen a reverse hyper, they almost always just become standing desks or just desks that people put drinks and other things on because they just get used intermittently. This is great because just like a stand-up bench, it allows you to put it out of the way. So you can do it like this, although I know Rogue doesn't recommend it. I keep mine up against a wall or on my storage rack. On my storage rack, I have these pins that I then lift this up on and put it on so it stays up there. I would love it if Rogue came out with some sort of wall holder, just like they do their benches or their rowers, that this can go on to make it a little bit more stable. But understand, like when you're folding this up and putting it against the wall, just be a little bit careful because it can fall just like anything else. And it weighs around 86 pounds, so that can play a part too. However, once you have it ready to go, you can disassemble it. But before I disassemble it, you may be asking, what's this weird freaking leg hanging out here? The reason this leg's hanging out is because this is part of the 1.1 update. I don't know what other updates they have. There's some minor stuff like this backing here that's a little bit nicer. Seems like the foam may be a little bit firmer. But the biggest difference between the 1.1 and the 1.0 is this little thing right here. And I would guess this is more of a safety feature than really something that you have to use. But this allows it to lock in this little arm here into this piece here. I am guessing this is something, one of those CYA type things where you're just like, for legality purposes, so this doesn't fall, so it doesn't hurt anybody, so this thing isn't free spinning, everything's locked in. That's probably the reason they put that there. I think it's nice that they added it, but I don't think it's like that big of a feature. But when you're ready to use it, pull it out, and then you can undo the table. Very simple, comes out. Be careful not putting your hand under the sides and things like that because there are pinch points. You pull up on it, so long as they're both retracted, red equals dead, just like safety. Now you're in, and it's ready to go, ready to be used. So as you can see, the biggest benefit to this table is the fact that it folds up, and folds up pretty nicely. And then when you're ready to go, ba-da! And it's got that nice click where it's just like, ah, feels good. and you can now use it like any other reverse hyper. Now, the biggest question that most people have is, one, how much weight can it use? And two, does it rock? Because anytime you have something that's foldable, something that's a little bit smaller than what's usually used, and it's gonna be having a lot of weight on it, the question arises, how much can I do on it? So they recommend, just so you know, they say the tabletop. And I give this with a caveat. Companies, when they do this, a lot of this has to do with protecting themselves. So they give a weight rating, even though it can hold a lot more. We've seen racks that they say like, it can hold 500 pounds. For instance, the Fitness Reality 800 XLT rack, like that hold way more than they said it could. But for legality purposes, they say. So this one can hold 300 pounds. This swinging arm here can hold, I think, 176 or 186, somewhere within that range. For Louis Simmons' recommendations for most people's amount of weight they should use on a Westside Hyper, that's a little bit low. He says using about half of your max squat weight and doing higher reps. That's kind of his recommendation. So 176 for a lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of people that squat above 400. So that could be a little bit light. That said, I put on much more than that and had no issues. I'm not recommending that because I don't want to get in trouble either, you know, from one of you goofballs putting like 500 pounds on here and having issues. But I would say that you're probably not going to have any issues. I personally haven't had any issues. The only problem is this loadable sleeve length is 5.25 inches or so. So you're going to have to use like calibrated plates or something thinner. If you're using Rogue deep dishes or you're using bumper plates, especially high temps, you're not going to be able to put a lot on here. But just to show you, let's load it up. Here's 155 urethane. Ooh, it's so beautiful. And you're now ready to go. Jump up on the table, get it rocking. Four hours later. As you can see, it works pretty similarly to any other reverse hyper. The biggest difference and the biggest problem that we found originally, and it still exists today, although I've never had it a major problem with it, is these front feet can sometimes come up if you're swinging a lot of weight and you're using a lot of body English. If you're not, these will stay down for most people, and these have been in people's home gyms and people have been commenting on them and talking about them in the home gym community for some time. I have yet to hear of anybody actually getting hurt or that lifting off too much to where it wobbles too much or something like that. Most people have found it's an annoyance sometimes, but it doesn't happen a ton, and I don't think it's something to worry about. Side to side, because it's a wide enough base, when you're on it, your body weight plus the weight of this is enough to keep it down. These rubber feet keep it against the ground, and it simply works. If you're somebody that wants traction, you've got lower body issues, you want to just provide more fluid to your lower back and your spine, this is a great way to do it. It's another great way to improve posterior chain strength. So it's a different way for doing that sort of thing. There's also different ways you can use the machine if you really wanted to. I've seen some guys that will use it for leg extensions where they'll sit up on the table and use it for leg extensions. There's guys that will use it for leg curls or laying down for leg press or presses, actually upper body presses. There's different ways you can use it, but primarily this is designed for reverse hypers, and that's why it's named that. In my opinion, for most people, most home gym owners, I stand by my original recommendation. This is the best, bar none, this is the best reverse hyper for most home gym owners at $385, which is more expensive than the original. It came out at $349, it's now $385, plus an additional $50 to have it shipped to your door. Not too bad, way cheaper than pretty much every other reverse hyper that's out there because most of them come welded. In addition to that, it's the original creators. A lot of the money probably goes towards Westside Barbell and Louis Simmons, who created, patented it, and are working together. So you feel good both on your budget side and on helping the people that made it. I will say though, just so everyone's aware, this is made in China. This isn't a made in the USA product. Rogue stipulates a lot of the products are made in the USA. This could be made in the USA. I want to make that clear. There's nothing on this. It's not like bumper plates where they're very hard, if near impossible to make in the USA due to the working conditions. This could be made in the USA, but it could not be made in the USA for the price that most people would probably want it. And that's the reason I'm guessing that Rogue shipped it overseas. So, like if you're really like into like USA made products, go with an RH2 or a different Hyper from a different company. But if you don't mind the made in China and want the foldable version, this is the best dang reverse Hyper ever. I use it all the time. Nathan, our videographer, this is his. He just got one because I recommend it so much. It's nice, sticks up against the wall, nice to get in posterior training. It just freaking works. And that's what you want out of gym equipment. Take a look at it. It's really cool. Okay, this is Coop from Garage Gym Reviews. What do you think of the reverse Hyper? Have you gotten a Scout Hyper? I know many of you have. Let me know in the comments what your opinion and your thoughts are, and we'll see you next time. Peace.